Hey everybody, and happy TGIF. Well, for me most of the day it is up until about 6:30. Then I gotta work. But you see the title down below, and it's true. TNA is about to pop, and ROH is about to go cosmic. Let me fill you in on what I mean in case you don't know. In case you guys don't know, let me fill you in. This week, it was announced that TNA's Impact Wrestling, despite how you feel about it, whether you want it to just go away or take us just an indefinite break and kind of refix things, retool things, whatever, TNA's Impact Wrestling will still exist. It will still live on. Word broke this week that TNA has finalized last week, apparently, finalized a deal with POP TV to air Impact Wrestling on Tuesday nights at about the same time frame as it is now. I think that's about right. I think it's about the same time slot. POP TV has agreed to do this. Now, according to numerous sources, more details have come out about this, that this is actually a better avenue for TNA to go down because POP TV is seen in a lot more households than Destination America. In fact, the numbers were looked at, and it's almost 5 to, if not 10 times more, if not 20 times more households than what they had with Destination America. Second of all, this is a multi-year television deal. In other words, this is something that's going to be going on for years. Multi-year could be about 4 or 5 years. And on top of that, this is probably good news for TNA because this is a surprise to even me. TNA will be getting paid to air the programming. That's right. TNA's not paying POP to air the programming. TNA's getting paid by POP to air the programming. Now, for some of you that may wonder, well, what is POP? What is this network? POP actually used to be known, believe it or not, as the TV Guide Network. That's right. You remember the TV Guide Network? Well, slowly but surely, TV Guide Network went from being basically what you see now with Xfinity when you go on, you press on demand. You see that little square where they're talking about movies and stuff? Well, TV Guide slowly but surely went from that to starting to air shows and movies and stuff. And true, they would still have the little guided stuff on the bottom, but slowly but surely they started to get away from that and be more focused on television and other shows and stuff. At time, with an occasional popping in of the guide of, like let's say if they were doing paid programming, the guide would pop up and there you would see exactly what channel you would have. But nowadays, with the fact that you could just scan down on your channels, you got the remotes and all that, it's like, what's the point? You're not remotes, but you got your iPods and Kindles to check that out. I mean, what's the point, right? So anyway, sometime between 2000, I would believe, I think somewhere in between last year and this year, TV Guide channel slowly integrated and rebranded itself as POP TV. And POP TV, formerly the TV Guide channel or network, is a subdivision or is a channel, a network owned by CBS Corporation and Lionsgate. Now I know what you're thinking. CBS, didn't they once run? Don't they run Viacom? Aren't they owned by Viacom? Didn't they associate with Spike? Isn't that bad? Technically, CBS was or is still partnered with Viacom, but there's a lot more to it. You see, just because Viacom owned Spike, like they owned MTV and Nickelodeon, CBS has been its own entity. CBS, in a sense, I think owns Viacom. Viacom, I think, just owns the cable portion for CBS. I'm not really sure. Now you might say that includes POP, but POP, from what I've read online, is a subdivision. In fact, let me look it up, of Lionsgate and CBS. And this is good news for TNA, because for any of us that have had cable and even digital cable through things like Comcast, Xfinity, Time Warner, Cablevision, whatever, or even through satellites like DirecTV and Dish Network, this is something, or even Verizon Verizon Froze, FIOS. This is something that people have had as a part of their package for a long, long time, since it came into being. So now for POP TV to be part, so for TNA now to be part of POP TV, it's a huge, huge deal. Now POP TV is no stranger to wrestling. As a matter of fact, I don't know if they still air it, but Saturday mornings at 6 a.m., they air Paragon Pro Wrestling from Las Vegas. So they're no strangers to it. And from what I saw, Paragon Pro Wrestling is okay. It's a nice little wrestling show out of Las Vegas, kind of regional, territorial, if you will. But it is basically trying to capitalize on the fact that, even though wrestling's on a downslide in a sense right now, that there's actually more interest in different wrestling promotions. And that's why I think, in a sense, POP TV is taking the chance not just on Paragon, but it's also taking the chance now on TNA. Because with WWE in the situation they're in right now, a lot of networks see that the USA network's ratings for Raw right now in the toilet, as many people would put it. So why not take advantage of the fact of that? Why not take advantage of this decline that WWE's on to capitalize and maybe get more people viewed on different aspects of the product? Yeah, according to Wikipedia, POP is an American basic cable and satellite television network that is operated as a joint venture between CBS Corporation and Lionsgate Entertainment. Now, here's the history on it. The network was originally conceived in 1981 as a Barker channel service, providing a display of localized channel and programming listings for cable television providers. Later on, the service, now branded as Preview, began to broadcast incidental segments along with the on-screen guide, which included entertainment news and promotions for upcoming programming. After Preview's parent company, United Video Satellite Group, acquired the entertainment magazine TV Guide in 1988, which ironically, United Video would be acquired by Gemstar the following year, the service was relaunched as TV Guide Channel, later TV Guide Network, which now featured full-length programs dealing with the entertainment industry, including news, magazines, and reality shows, along with red carpet coverage from major award shows. Following the acquisition of TV Guide Network by Lionsgate in 2009, its programming began to shift towards a general entertainment format with reruns of dramas and sitcoms. The network was renamed TVGN following the acquisition of a 50% stake in the network by CBS Corporation. At the same time, as its original purpose grew obsolete, because of the integrated program guides offered by digital television platforms, which would be like Xfinity, Cablevision and all that. The network began to downplay and phase out its programming listings service. As of June 2014, none of the network's carriage contracts required the display of the listings, and they were excluded entirely from its high-definition simulcast. In 2015, the network was rebranded as POP, a general entertainment network focusing on popular culture. As of February 2015, POP is available in approximately 75,255,000 paid television households. 64.7% of households with at least one television set. That's pretty good. So basically that gives you an idea of exactly where TNA is heading. They are heading to something that's been around since 1981. Since 1981, basically since I was 2 years old. And as that was said right there, is available in nearly halfway to it, nearly 80 million homes. Is that on par to USA Network? No, but still, it's a decent enough jump for something like Impact, for TNA, that they could finally get out there. This could be, if done right, 2016 could be the breakout year. Let's not forget something, okay? Let's look back at wrestling history. I mean, I'm not trying to defend the fact that TNA has made a lot of mistakes. Believe me, they have. But let's look back at history, okay? WCW, even with the association with the NWA, was always looked at as a second-tier brand. And they have been around for years and years and years. It wasn't until almost 11 years later that it wasn't until about 11, maybe 12 years later that through the help, whether you like the guy or not, of Eric Bischoff, realizing what mistakes were made and what needed to be changed, okay, like what mistakes needed to be made, what needed to be changed, what needed to go, what needed to be added in. WCW, even though they were on TBS, a Turner network, and even though they were on a Turner network, like TBS or WTBS as it's known back in the 80s and 90s, in the 80s, early 90s, as you say, even though it was known as that, WCW was still relegated. I mean, you listen to what Sting says in his new DVD set, DVD Blu-ray set, Into the Light, as well as you take a look at the Sting documentary TNA did. And the one thing that is always constant is that one thing that he always brings up when comparing both the WCW and the WWE was when he went to one of those big television conferences or conventions, and I think it was New York or Los Angeles, I believe. One of those big television conferences, conventions, what have you. And in comparing the difference between both companies, WWE had a ring, had matches, basically like what you would see with WWE Access at times through NXT and stuff. They had a ring, they had matches and all that, basically a live show during this convention to kind of give people the idea of what WWE is. Basically full on, well, maybe not full on production, but basically a big enough deal, but big enough, showcase that got people's attention. And here you had Sting with a little drawing, with a drawing of a scorpion and his name on top of it, in front, plastered or taped in front of a podium with a television saying, "This is WCW." And yet that was like a few years before WCW hit their stride and became the monster that they did. And you take a look at the time frame, and it's almost ironic. It's the same kind of time frame we're in now, because now, yes, big difference. WCW never had to jump to different networks or cable channels. But there's that old saying, third time's the charm, right? Maybe even fourth time, depending. And what I mean by fourth time is, let's not forget, Impact Wrestling did start on Fox Sports. But they were aired at awkward times, except when they would be paired up with the Best Damn Sports Show. But if you want to look at it from a more 2-hour broadcast situation, more of a primetime broadcast situation, third time's the charm, right? So Pop TV obviously could be that charm. And it is a multi-year deal, and on top of that, they're getting paid for it. So, in a sense, this might be the benefit that TNA needs. Now, the question is, are they going to start off strong? Apparently, from what it looks like to me, TNA is going to probably air the finals for the World Title Series on the first broadcast on POP. Now what's funny about that is, originally, spoilers, Bobby Lashley had won the tournament. He had won the tournament, become champion, from what we understood. But it seems, obviously TNA has found out about that, or figured people would find out about it, and realize, you know what, we can't do that. We got this new deal. We got to fix this. So apparently word's going around that the semifinals and the finals are going to be retaped, or reshot and retaped, so that we could see an actual winner be crowned. So that what we read basically becomes non-existable. Basically, the Bobby Lashley win that's been reported never happened. And that we're going to see a new champion be crowned, possibly on the first edition of Impact on POP. So that's what's happening there with TNA, and that is a huge deal for them. That is a huge deal when you think about it. And I know some of you are thinking, oh, TNA, yeah, they got a bigger deal. Yeah, they're going to be in more households. But guess what? They're still on live support. Pop TV is going to realize it. CBS and Lionsgate are going to see the mistake they made. And before you know it, TNA is going to be gone again, looking for a new home. Da 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 da. I know how some of you feel. I know how some of you feel about that. And that's how you feel. I know that didn't make sense there. But basically, I know that's how some of you feel. That's what I was trying to say. I know that that's how some of you feel. But when you think about it, it's up to TNA to make the right decisions. Now, apparently, them going to Tuesday nights is actually a decision made by the person in charge of POP. Because they realize there's more of an audience on Tuesday nights than there is on Wednesdays, Thursdays, or Fridays. Because think about it, middle of the week, Wednesdays, people just want to relax after a day's work, watch movies, whatever. They don't care. And during certain times of the year, a lot of networks, either the